We're all right there. Okay, okay. So then we'll just go into the minutes of the previous meeting as pages 1 to 4. So is there any questions or comments on the minutes? Or is that a true reflection? We're all quite happy with that? Okay, so that's the minutes, great. So item 2 is Paisley's Local Partnership Budget Monitoring Report, pages 5 to 8. Okay. This was really just for noting.
Noted.
Yeah. Okay, okay. Item 3 is a presentation from Whitehall Barracks.
Okay.
There we go. So Gary, that be yourself.
Yes, good evening. I'm literally just in the held up coming in from Edinburgh. But, hopefully I distributed or I sent out the sort of condition images from Whitehall. If you get a chance to see them, if not, you can maybe catch up with them later. But they say they were sent out to Stuart yesterday, so hopefully most people have seen them or they've got a copy of them somewhere. We're at the stage now, well, for the last 7 weeks now, the Paisley, the council lawyer has had our offer and missives and all the rest of it waiting to get signed. We're just waiting for them to get the go-ahead. Our lawyer's patiently waiting. Then we can get the sign over and the keys. So that's where we're at that stage at the moment. We're also, you'll probably see from the images, there's quite a lot of deterioration in the building. That's been there for the last since we first looked at the building in 2018. It's deteriorated quite badly. The council haven't done anything really to keep it watertight. There's just a few old tarpaulins and things over the roof space, which is obviously the water ingress. There's also leaf build-up in the downpipes, which has caused the water to overflow the top and in through the building. So our first aim is to prioritise and getting it windproof, watertight, getting it cleaned out, as in the drainage, the water systems and the gutters, etc. And try and get repair and make good as much as we can in the first phase. The sort of phasing of the sort of operation that we're looking towards, and this is all dependent on Historic Environment Scotland funding, Architectural Heritage Fund, etc., etc. We've got a few that we've been putting in for, including some council grants. But the sort of phasing is really, the garage is the easiest space to sort of get up and running. So the idea is to try and get that. And that will let us move a lot of our stuff that we've temporarily got over in Blantyre and get it in and maybe start getting a little bit of a revenue stream while we go.
Right.
And as we refurbish the garage, then the outer space, the security, and also hopefully the back fence, and try and tidy that up a good bit for our local neighbours, and make it more presentable. Getting rid of all the old debris and the old growth. There's a lot of bracken and all sorts of things we need to be, and also some small saplings and trees. We need to have a look at that and see how we're going to clear the ground space. At the same time, that sort of phase 1, we'll be looking at the sort of how we're going to approach the different levels in the actual main barracks themselves. Obviously the drill hall, the office spaces, the upstairs spaces, and we're working on that at the moment. We've got a condition report, but we've also got all of our timeline and our spreadsheet of all the costings and what's imminent, what's desirable, etc., etc. So we're sort of prioritising that, what we can do, things we can do ourselves and things we have to obviously outsource. We've been working with LDN, the architects, who did the initial feasibility and condition report, and that's just finished. We just got that early in the month there, and they have got quite a good track record. They did the Stirling Museum, the Gaelic Stirling Museum in Stirling. They've got Crail Museum, Military Museum, a couple other ones. So they're on the same sort of lines as what we're looking at. So we're looking at, obviously they'll be in the tendering as well with others. It's not just the LDN. But again, they've got the track record of doing the condition report. They've got the building, all the measurements, So they're in a
Right.
good shoot. They're in a good
Uh-huh.
shoot with nothing else, yeah.
Mhm.
And from that, there's contractors and quantity surveyors, blah, blah, blah. We're talking about something up to about £3 million worth of refurbishment that we're chasing over 5 years.
Gosh,
So there's quite a lot to do and quite a
absolutely.
busy time. One of our main aims is to obtain the funding. It's sort of been promised, but obviously not been put in yet. But we're looking at appointing a part-time project manager who'll be managing the project 2 or 3 times a week at least, and overseeing any of the works coming in, the timelines, the project planning, etc., etc. I've got a couple of people that have been sort of looking at and interviewing. One is an ex-clerk of works who worked for Strathclyde Police when it was Strathclyde Police, and he did all their properties and all their refurbishments, etc., etc. And there's a couple of other people it's been shown into. So we've been sort of putting the feelers out, getting ready. So once we get the keys, we can start rolling and start sort of putting things into place. Our main aim is we don't want to have another winter where the building's going to deteriorate further. So we want to
Absolutely.
sort of get that underway.
Mhm.
We've had good responses from our neighbours and from the local engagements that we've had, a couple of open days, etc. We've also done a couple of schools recently, Williamsborough being one of them.
Uh-huh.
That's the second time they've used us. We've been over there, so quite a good little relationship there as well. And our main aim is to sort of grow the schools and education side as well.
Mhm.
Not just with the outside space with the sort of Dig for Victory gardens, but also a little bit more on some of the exhibits and outdoor events and things that we're hoping to run over the year. Quite a lot happening. We've got quite a few things penciled in, and again, it's just hopefully when funding is released, etc., we can start programming them and bring them forward if we have to. But it's pretty exciting times. I know Lady Provost is pretty enthusiastic about it. We've been busy with the history as well. And one of the things all the way back to the original Williamsborough Barracks, we've got a lot of history in all the maps from 1820.
Absolutely.
We've got the original newspaper cutting from 1912 when the barracks first opened. And that's
Uh-huh.
quite informative about the engineer company, etc. And we've also tracked down the relatives, but also 2 commanding officers who was at Whitehall, and they're both brothers, and both of them got military crosses.
Right.
The Hodgarts, I don't know if you ever came across the name Hodgart, but they're local.
Uh-huh.
They were both commanding officers at one just before the First World War and one just after the First World War. One
Jeez,
of the
oh,
brothers
mommy.
killed in 1917 in the war. But say both of them pretty well known. And
Aye.
they also went to Merchiston School in Edinburgh, which is twinned with the school I teach in. So I'm going to go up there and plough through their archives and history as well. So
Excellent.
we want to sort of build a little local history and look at the characters. During the open days, we've had some people who's come in and they were born there in Whitehall.
Is that
Um,
right?
yeah, their parents was, or their father was the caretaker. The other one was the chief clerk, and things like that. So we're sort of building all these little histories up. We're going to do story panels basically, and we're going to start putting in obviously the local history and all the way through to the 1980s, and as far back as we can go. Looking at scale models as well of the actual area of Williamsborough when it was in the 1820s, all the way through. So we're looking at a little modelling curve.
Brilliant.
Looking at so a lot of things happening. We've been
It
pretty
is.
busy, and it's really just trying to keep the ball rolling and keep people updated. We've also got a Facebook Whitehall Facebook page.
Right.
There's a lot of
I'll
people have
need to
been.
go on and like that.
Yeah, I'll send the link to Stuart.
Aye, please, Gary.
Yeah, but see, we've got a lot of people there. We sort of update them if things or else we get feedback from them as well. So the idea is that they sort of grow the community from there. and get them involved when we can.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, you're doing a great job, and it is really exciting. I love hearing what you've got on and what you've got planned. I know that when you went out to Williamsburg, my daughter sort of heard it, so she was quite excited when she came back to me that day. So that's just been a success. But no, really, really good to hear that, Gary. Do I have any questions for Gary? I'm sure John McNaughton, I knew that because, all right, John, come on in.
Yeah, thanks. I was at your open day, Gary, and it was very good to talk to you there. Just by way of as a positivity, I was in the Secret Museum this afternoon on the High Street, getting a sneak preview of some of the work that they're doing on the radical uprising for the new museum, and I was showing various bits and pieces. I mean, they've obviously got the Charleston drum, which has reputedly come back from Battle of Waterloo, and they have a bugle that they certainly know was used in the Battle of Waterloo, and they have the story behind that. So there's a lot of stuff, and they are preparing, some exhibition stuff for the new museum, but they're really only scratching the surface. And I think that there'll be scope for your organisation and the Whitehall Barracks to expand in a lot of that, because the message I'm getting is that Paisley at that stage, not only was it radical, a hotbed of radicalism, but in terms of the military and it was one of the strongest recruiting grounds, because of Paisley was a huge influx of folk from the Highlands and then the Irish, and the military frequently used it as to recruit. So it probably had that disproportionate number of military serving from Paisley. So I think there's a whole story behind that to be told, and hopefully through your organisation that some of that can come out. I just wanted to say, when you're talking about grants and things, I think you'll need to be resourceful. That from my experience in various museums and things getting organised, that there'll be setbacks. You'll get knocked back at various stages. You just need to keep pushing, and you'll find a way around it. One avenue might close, but another will open up. But I mean, I'm very positive about it. I think when you've got the right idea about getting the building sorted first, and then just incrementally develop it. So wish you all the best, and I'll certainly support you as far as I can.
Yeah, thanks for that. I've had 15 years of knockbacks. I know what it's like, and having to try and circumnavigate through the various terminology and forums and all sorts. There's never one the same. They're all different, and they're all got their own way of speaking. We're pretty lucky. We've been sponsored by a group, international group called BNI, which is Business Network International, and one of our guys sits in the local Thistle chapter, which is in Finnieston in Glasgow. So they've sponsored us for this year, but we just had an open day in our place in Blantyre on Saturday and hosted them, just because to let them see what we do and what we're trying. And a lot of these guys in this network are dry rot specialists, builders, etc., etc. So tapping into them as well.
Absolutely.
And also the wider military side. On the one you're saying about the sort of the units that used Whitehall, obviously with Argyle's is very strong in the area, again because there's a lot of people that came down from Argyleshire and Highlands, and Argyle and Southern Highlanders was one that's very strong. But the actual 7-1 engineers as we know them today actually stemmed from Whitehall, and before when they were on the High Street as well, it was a Fortress company, and the headquarters was the Fortress, local Royal Engineer Fortress company, and they had units down in Greenock, and they also had along the Clyde, etc. The idea was that they had fortresses to protect the Clyde, etc. And they were a sort of engineer company who was attached to the militia at the time. So it's quite a lot of good history, a lot of things we can share, a lot of stories we can tell, and trying to get the local involvement, people and ancestors, etc.
Oh, I think so. It's just getting the word out there, isn't it, Gary? So listen, I'll go on and like it and share it and things like that as well on social media, because that's exactly it. You know, it's just like letting people know that you're open and we can go around for these open days. That would be great. But listen, I'm really excited and thanks for your time here this evening. You know, it's been uplifting to hear from you, Gary. So keep in touch and I'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you very much. Bye all.
No worries. Thanks for joining us, Gary. Cheers. Okay. So the next thing is item 4, which is a presentation from Community Learning and Development Update. So that'll be yourself, Isabel.
Yeah. Yes. So I've got some slides. I've also sent them to Robert in case they don't work, but I'll give it a try first of all. Or Robert,
I can see it. Oh, right.
Oh,
yes,
right,
I can see this.
Robert's obviously put it on. Okay, if you could put the slideshow from slideshow then, Robert, if that's possible, and I'll just talk to it.
Excellent.
Yeah, great. So I just wanted to update you on some of the work we've been doing. The 16 days of action, the new members of the Scottish Youth Parliament, some street stuff activity in the area, green spaces funding and some adult learning in the area. Next slide, please. So the 16 days of action, that is a national campaign against gender-based violence and calls to end violence against women and girls. And the campaign is 16 days from 25th November to the 10th of December. But last night it was the big event was the march in Paisley that went from UWS to the Dun Square, and the Provost gave a wee speech there and laid a wreath in memory of women who've been killed in violence. So it was a really good night, and what the main thing was, there was a lot of young people there and a lot of young boys as well. So that's really what we want to see, because we want to get the message over that it's not a female problem, it's everybody's problem, and we want everybody to be aware of it. So it was really good to see all the young people. Next slide, please. Yeah, so you might be aware that the MSYP's elections have been taking place, and there was a wee bit of difficulty with the voting platform, but Renfrewshire's MSYPs are uncontested, so they have been voted in. But because there's been a few problems with the voting, the rest of the country have still to elect their MSYPs, so that's why they haven't really been officially announced yet. But we do have them there, and they will be getting announced in the Paisley Town Hall in December, and they'll take up their role officially on the 1st of February. But I know that they were very keen to come along to these meetings, because I think everybody's mentioned before that it'd be nice to have some more input from young people in the local partnerships. So it would be really good if I could bring one of them, whoever is for this area, along to the next meeting, because I think it'll probably be after that date, if everyone's in agreement, but you can let me know that near the time. Okay, thanks. Next slide, please. Yeah, so talking about young people, we've got street stuff doing activities with the school, Paisley Grammar, on Thursdays. They go in and work with the children that are maybe hard to reach or hard to engage with, and do some work there to sort of try and combat the behavioural problems and things that have been ongoing really since lockdown. It's really affected a lot of the year groups quite badly. So they're doing that on Thursdays in Paisley Grammar, so it's going quite well at the moment. Next slide, please. The Green Spaces Fund are, there's still some money available, but it's quite limited, so they're only accepting applications under £10,000, but there is still money there available. I don't know if that's something that, I was going to say that the barracks, but I don't suppose you'd be ready to look at the outside space and things yet, but it's another option of funding available if you've got outside space. I suppose that's the last thing you do after you do all the inside work, isn't it? But it'll probably be there. It will be there next year as well. So if you're ready for applications, that one will be open next year as well. Next slide, please. We've got quite a lot of going on in adult and family learning. So the main centre in the Paisley East is Southend Action Centre, and we will have a new programme coming out in January. And we'll have a lot of ESOL, because we do have a lot of refugees at the moment, Ukrainian refugees, and we've still got the Syrian people as well. So we do a lot of ESOL classes. Computing and literacies are very popular as well, but we do have a warm hub drop-in on Monday mornings, so anybody's free to come along to that. Anybody here can come along if you want to. We've got a few personal development classes as well. But a new thing that we are doing at the moment is called Talk, Learn, Do, and it's a programme working with parents about how to talk to money, about money to their toddlers. So this is new for us. We haven't gone as young as that before. We have family learning, which is in conjunction with the schools, but this is the first time we've gone into nurseries. So that is going really well as well, because as you can imagine, you have to start telling toddlers about money as soon as they start asking for things. So it is a really difficult thing to try and get across to children of that age, you know, how important it is to watch your pennies and things. So that seems to be going really well, and the nurseries are really pleased with it. We've got our phone number up there if anybody wants to pass it on about inquiring about any classes. And we're also on the Renfrewshire Council's website. You can just search for adult and family learning as well, and that'll give you the list of all this, each centre, and the phone number for each centre if people want to go along. And that's about all we're doing just now. So if anybody's got any questions, that would be great.
That's great, Isabel. Thank you very much for that. I went along last night to the march. I went along with my daughter's friend. We met John there and a lot of other councillors and some friends I hadn't actually seen in ages, so that was really good. And I believe it's grown in numbers from previous years. That's the first one that I've attended in person, but it's grown, you know, and there was somebody with a drum along there and playing, you know, it was a really nice atmosphere, you know, so it definitely was. It was good, nice and the green spaces, that's helpful. And as far as teaching toddlers about money, I think my children were always quite good when it was their own money, holding on to it. You know, so when you give it to them to distribute, then that's when they start to learn they don't want to part with it. They think twice. Right. So do we have any questions or comments for us all? No? Oh, yes, John. John Trainer.
Thanks, Kevin. Actually, I just wanted to reinforce what you said there about the role of the young people from Young and Equally Safe, who are one of the groups that Community Learning and Development are supporting. A couple of years ago, we asked that group of young people to take on the organisation of the annual march to reclaim the night as part of those 16 days of action. And it's been incredible to see the growth over the last couple of years in terms of attendance. And as said there, you know, there was a real increase in people taking part last night. So we've seen more members of the public, we've seen some more staff. We had the whole of the divisional commander, police command. So the new chief superintendent, his operational chief inspectors, the new superintendent, detective superintendent from the CID, the head of the public protection unit. So actually there was a really nice officer turnout and public turnout, but most impressively there was a group of young people and young men in particular who Community Learning and Development have been working to support, to think about the issue of gender-based violence being not a women's issue but being a man's issue, an issue that men need to address with their friends, with their colleagues, to talk about the challenges when you hear your friends perhaps making derogatory comments about young women, about how they dress, and about challenging that misogyny. But importantly, that bit about safety in the streets, because as I have to say, as a man, I rarely feel threatened on the streets, but I recognise that young women and older women actually often feel threatened by the environment they're in. The catcalling that happens not only at night but through the day. We've had children and young people reporting to us that they get catcalled from cars by adult men, making comments about their school uniforms, so a whole host of things. So actually the work that Community Learning and Development around that particular initiative, first class. And then the second bit that you've just highlighted, the issue of helping young people understand the importance of money, again a really nice initiative. And then the final one, the work in the schools about how young people are returning to schools following the pandemic. There was a big loss of the social norms within the school community, and there are challenges about helping them back. So Community Learning Development are a real strong ally in helping schools around that. So some outstanding work from Community Learning Development, the team, and I just couldn't let it pass without acknowledging that.
Okay, no, thank you for that, John. Yeah, thanks for that, John. You're absolutely right. And I can see how difficult it is even with my own family, you know, trying to return to school normality after lockdown, especially with the youngest one who's in primary. You know, it's a massive amount of time to have off, isn't it? I think it took her a long time to realise, no, you have to go to the building again. It's open, you're going, and there's no more time off. So absolutely, I can imagine how it's actually affected. So thank you, John, and thank you, Isabel.
Yeah,
Okay.
well said, John. Thank you.
So if we just go on, the next one is the winter connections. So I think Graham, are you presenting this one?
Yep, I'm going to try and present this. Just give me a couple of seconds. I'll try and get the slides up. So see if telling me the presentation's loading. This is all very exciting. Can you see that?
Yes, we can see
the
that.
presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay. So last year, if you remember, we undertook the Winter Connections programme. So this was a new thing in response to the cost of living crisis, and we decided as a council and with our partners to produce some activities or put on some activities in a range of spaces right across Renfrewshire to help with people that may be struggling with issues to do with cost of living or loneliness and isolation and things of that sort. It was successful last year, so we're replicating it this year. So this is this year's information that we'll give you here. So in the 23-24 Winter Connections programme was approved earlier on this year. In the autumn, there was £75,000 allocated to support activities that were being programmed, with an additional £10,000 funded from the Recovery Change Fund to ensure that people that are maybe experiencing alcohol or drug issues would be able to access services as well. As I said, it was building on last year's successful programme. It's up and running now and will continue until March 2024, so right over the winter period. We do ask anyone who's receiving funding from Winter Connections, so that's community groups, voluntary groups, charities, groups of that sort, as well as, I'll come on to later, our libraries, who are also doing an extensive programme of events there. But we ask all those organisations to sign up to the Winter Connections principles to make sure that they're open and inclusive and welcoming to all people, and that as many people as possible get the opportunity to benefit from the services and activities that are being put on. So some of the activities, there's a wide range. Our community, if there's one thing to be said for our community groups in Renfrewshire, they're a very diverse bunch, they're a very creative bunch, and they put on tremendous variety of activities there. So some of the examples there's a Saturday night kids club in Paisley. There's an Eat Share Care Cafe in Renfrew. There's creative sessions in Seed Hill that's ongoing, local to the Paisley East area. There's also the Intergenerational Music Cafe in Paisley and Brick Lane. The Wake Up Warm Up exercise class for older adults in Johnston. So you'll see there's a real spread of the geographical areas that activities are in. There's also a spread of activities for younger people and for older people, intergenerational activities as well, and a range of things, range of interests, from music and arts and creativity to sort of games and other things like that, and food that will hopefully tempt people to come along and share their time with us and benefit from that. So at the moment we've funded 33 projects, so that's 33 community groups that benefited from the funding. The maximum is £2,000, and that's roughly about the level that most of them apply for. So the funding awards to date have been just over £62,500. We've got 11 applications waiting on a decision and 7 applications that have been declined. But when we decline an application, it doesn't mean that the door's shut entirely. It means that we can signpost to other potential sources of funding as well. They maybe just don't fit quite with the Winter Connections kind of ethos and what we're doing there. I mentioned the libraries early on, and so OneRen are putting on a wide selection of activities, fun and free activities in libraries. So things like jigsaws, board games, craft tables, story sessions, as you would imagine in libraries. and also tea and coffee available in all locations, and our Scoobmobile is also out and about in the community as well. So a lot of our libraries have got those activities going on in them. When the groups sign up to be part of the Winter Connections programme, there's also an identity, a branding that goes along with that. So is that they're not really just promoting their own activity, are not responsible for doing all their own marketing. There's a big marketing sort of communications campaign behind that, which helps drive our target audience towards the various different activities that are going on there. So it's widely promoted online and through other media as well. Moving on, last year we evaluated the programme, and we'll be doing that again to try and tweak and improve where we could. We asked people how their activities went, so we asked the groups putting them on how that, you know, if they were successful or not. We asked them what difference did it make, and we got some really good impact stories about the difference that it made to individuals, and also what people felt about the concept, if you like, of Winter Connections, and those all evaluated quite strongly and have been built into the planning and preparation work for this year. The next few slides are the activities that are on in various different areas, so I'll skip over some of the other ones quite quickly, but then dwell a lot well on Paisley East. So you'll see there's a range of activities in Johnston and Linwood. In those areas, there's things like the Jam Jar movies at Roar at Station 7. There's a 16+ social space at Kicking On in Linwood. There's activities at the Baptist Church in Linwood as well, Connections activities, Winter Family Fun at Class Care in Johnston, and activities in Johnston Castle Learning Centre as well. So a fair spread in Johnston. In Paisley East, and I think it's probably worthwhile saying at the moment, there's around £20,000 that's still available. So we're not at the end of the funding, and we're still welcoming applications in, and we'd really like to get more applications in, probably particularly from Paisley East. But the activities that are on at the moment is the Winter Connections at St Mark's Old Hall Church. There's activities through Friends of Barshaw Park. There's the Winter Connections at Ralston Library, and also Winter Connections in Paisley Central Library, the new library facility that's a magnificent new facility. It's just opened there. So we would welcome both the members of the Paisley East Local Partnership to publicise the activities that are there, but also if there's groups that you think actually what they're doing might fit in with Winter Connections, to actually encourage them to apply. So as I say, there's around about £20,000 that's left still to be allocated. So please, if there's groups that wish to apply, send them our way, and that'd be great. Erskine and Shannon, there's SIP sessions in Erskine Sports Centre, Street Stuff's active, and also the library's activities that we mentioned earlier on. In Renfrew, there's Cafe Opov, Our Place Our Families, at Argylson and Newmains Community Centre. Renfrew YMCA, I've got a Connect and Chat programme there for people to come and share their stories and their worries and things like that as well. And Street Stuff is out and about at Robertson Park, and also at Renfrew Young Carers as well as the library's activity. In Glenifer, just south of Paisley's, we've got Lunchtime Buddies through Foxbar Elderly Forum. Thursday Club are also working through St Peter's Men's Club in Glenburn. And again, we've got the library activities in Foxbar and Glenburn, and Street Stuff in those locations as well, Foxbar and Glenburn. Paisley North West and Central, as you would imagine, given the kind of concentration of groups that are headquartered in Paisley North West and Central, there's probably more going on. But again, it's you know, the welcome doesn't stop at the boundaries of the local partnership. So people from Paisley East are equally as welcome to use the Paisley North West and Central activities there as well. So Brick Lane Studios, as I mentioned earlier on, there's a music friendship cafe where people can go and try out bits of music. Just Dive In, which I gather is a group that's doing scuba diving and things like that. I've got some craft activities at George Street. Renfrewshire Rainbow Buddies are in Short Roads, and Renfrewshire Access Panel have also got a drop-in session at the Tannahill Centre. There's community choir in Gala Hill and circus classes in Ferguslie Park. I told you it was diverse. You can even learn how to how to be a circus act through Winter Connections as well. There's a Saturday get together, Methodist Central Hall, and Winter Buddies at St Mirren Park, as well as a Winter Youth Club in the Cobalt Business Centre. Star Projects have also got their Winter Connections programme, and Home Start equally have got a winter warmer for perinatal groups, families and parents, and a winter wellbeing project at Ream in the West End as well. So maybe not in Paisley itself, but on doorstep, and people are very welcome to use all those activities and facilities. And again, in Paisley, North West and Central, just the street stuff and the libraries activities there as well. And a wee bit further away, in the villages, we've got Rays of Hope in Elderslie, some activities in Howwood there, Men's Shed in Lochwinnoch, as well as a youth drop-in session and teenage health and wellbeing workshops. We've got film and music in Kilbarchan, and also the library activities in Bridgewere and Lochwinnoch as well. So thanks for listening. That's a quick kind of whistle-stop tour. The main takeaways, I think, is to try and promote to people that would be interested, that you think would be interested, what's going on. We've tried to reach out as much as possible and get as much social media as possible, but we recognise that the people that are maybe isolated and are lonely, or maybe aren't the normal joiners, if you like, for groups, maybe need somebody personally to coax them to come along and give it a try.
Can we get a copy of the slides, Stuart, just so that we know where to direct? Because it seems like there's a lot going on, a lot of good work going on.
Certainly.
Excuse me, I need to put my mic away, start coughing.
Yep. What I should have mentioned was there is, as part of the information that's available, there's a searchable map. So there's information available on the web, and there's a searchable map there as well that people can go to. And the main contact is Andrina Faulkner, who works in the Partnerships and Inequalities team. And Andrina supported Diane Dunn to put all this together, and would be glad to speak to any projects that are interested in starting up and taking up some of the funding, and also sort of helping people kind of access as well. So thank you very much, and I'll end the presentation there. Thank you.
Okay. I see Graham's got his hand up. Graham?
Thank you. Yes, I just noticed in the leadership paper, Stuart, that there's 32 groups which have been given grants. So it's either 33 or 32, but I just was looking at that today. The 7 that were rejected because they didn't have consistent activities. They were applying for kind of one-off kind of things, so that didn't meet the criteria. In our area, I think the Riggs Art Project, which is Creativity in Mind, which is in Seed Hill, is also there. So I would commend that. I love the people at Riggs Art in Seed Hill. They're a fantastic group of people.
Doing a great job.
So, great job. And then I think at the leadership board a week today, it has to be agreed to give £6,000 to One Wren in order that they can do the library stuff, which is, and I would really commend that, because I know my grandchildren have been going into the library here in Foxbar, and just it's a great time during the winter, and the library staff greet the children, and quite a lot of children come in after school. So I think that's really good, but that has to be agreed next week, I think, for that to go ahead. But thank you, Stuart. It's very exciting, isn't it? And one of the things which we've really been trying to do is listening to our lived experience group, so that the activities are really touching people right across the social spectrum. And we managed to do that in the summer program really well, and that was really encouraging. And the applications for the Winter Connections have been really well crafted, and I think that's been really encouraging to the staff. I think, Stuart, hasn't it? That there's such good applications and so clearly well set out to really help people.
Definitely, that's been something that's been a really positive feature, and it shows that people really kind of grasp what it is we're trying to do here through the community groups, and say it's community groups themselves that are so creative in coming up with the activities.
And I see there's been work done in actually targeting areas that I know last year we were concerned about, because we never had any groups within it, so I can see the pockets of improvement where it's been this year. So no, that's how I was saying a list would be helpful. If I could get a copy of those slides, sure, that'd be good, so I can signpost.
Do that.
But no, listen, thank you, and thank you, Graham, that was helpful. Well, that's the last item, folks. The last item was that future arrangements for the meetings, and I see I don't have any paperwork on that. So I take it, Stuart, are you going to update everybody and what the arrangements are, because there doesn't seem to be anything in the paperwork.
Yes, the dates haven't been set yet, Councillor Adam, for next year. There's a paper, as people will know, going to the leadership board next week, just about the future development of local partnerships, and then after that, there will be information coming out about the future dates for next year.
Okay then. So that just leaves me to thank you all for coming this evening. Thank you very much for your attendance, and it's been good to see you all. And I'll see some of you on Friday night. I'll sure see you, Ben.
I don't know. I'm going to the Paisley Labour meeting, so I don't think I'll see you
Oh,
there.
well, then, I'm not seeing you then. Okay then, take care. Thanks for coming.
Take care, enjoy.
Bye.
Thanks very much,
Cheers.
everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye.
So